I'm so excited. Welcome back, guys, to our Day in the Life series. I have the lovely Sam Roblett on today. And it's nice because we're in this almost in the same time zone. So it made scheduling this call very easy. Sam is based in the UK. Whereabouts in the UK?
Right at the bottom, in the middle, in Southampton in the UK. So yeah.
Nice. I've had the privilege of training Sam inside of our accreditation program. And since then, she has gone on to create some incredible things in her business, which is called Chaos into Calm. So, Sam, I would love for you to take a couple minutes here and just talk about your experience. And I think specifically where you started off as an OBM. Like, wait, how long ago was that, really?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, like you say, because actually I feel like kind of OBM, you kind of build those skills over so much time. So my career actually started way long ago in contracts management. So I was doing contracts management, and then when I had my son, I changed and retrained into education. So I was working for a long time, for over 15 years as a teacher.
As a teacher,
And then
wow.
and then moved into senior leadership, and then had kind of a big life change, and moved halfway across the UK to a different
Wow.
location. And at that time, I was due to start another education position, but something in the back of my head was always, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something
Like,
more. I wanted to, yeah. Although I felt I was having an impact in education, I didn't feel like I was having kind of a fast enough impact on the things that needed to happen now,
mm,
for those children. So I moved, and then we ended up with, the horrid pandemic, and the role I was supposed to start disappeared. And so there I was, sat with nothing, no income, no anything, in a new location.
no, I didn't actually know that about you. I mean, I know we've spoken about your story, but I was like, that's scary stuff.
Yeah, it was scary stuff, but also for me, exciting as well, because procrastination can be one of those things that you just drop into this sense of, well, I know that and I do that on a regular basis. So you just continue to do that. So sometimes you need those things just to shake you up a bit. So I took stock and kind of thought about the types of things that I might like to do. And I was keen that I wanted to work with people that were making change, having an impact on the world. And I knew that I needed to do something online. So took stock of all my skills and decided that actually I had quite a lot of knowledge of different software and bits and pieces just from personal use, and decided I was going to set up as a VA, and did that, and started my own business, made lots of horrible mistakes, as you do when you get those first clients, taking people on for far too fewer amount of money, and, going through all those trials and tribulations. And then I was probably about a year into my journey, I decided that I was working with clients and probably doing a lot more than kind of VA tasks. So I started to do some searches online and look for kind of project management skills with VAs and all these different kinds of things, and actually came up across OBM and yourself, Sarah. And just that was it then. I just decided that was kind of the way I wanted to go. I felt like I was doing a few of those things already, and I'm the sort of person that likes to fill my skills in to make sure that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
And not to mention your leadership background.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
So
oh, wow, that's must have felt very, I mean, I know when I discovered the OBM role, I was like, oh my God, that's me. Did you have that like aha moment of like, where have
yeah,
you been all my life?
I totally did. And obviously, looking at some of the other people that were doing OBM and doing a bit of a search, and seeing kind of the success you'd made of things as well, was really inspiring to me, because I felt like I'd come a long way with the VA route, and I felt like my only next journey would be VA agency, but I didn't really quite want to go that route down things. So for me, this was aligning with what I felt like I was doing with my clients already anyway, but just meant that I could up level those skills. So, and yeah, it just kind of felt like actually the OBM role is so varied, and I really enjoy the variedness of things. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
think if I'd have niched down into, say, for example, specifically tech VA around I don't know, webinar kit or as a specific piece of software, I would have got very bored of that very quick.
Thank you for saying that. I'm like, I tell people that a lot. I'm like, well, I mean, if you're, techie person and you want to go in, that's one thing. But I want to sort of piggyback on what you're talking about with regard to the VA OBM transition. And you mentioned just feeling very, I don't know, I mean, bored is the word that comes to my mind, but I'm sure you certainly weren't bored with all your clients. But I'd love for you to tell and to describe to our listeners what that transition looked like. And I'm always curious to know if you were able to retain any of those VA clients, if any of them were suitable for OBM services.
It was an interesting transition. So I got to the point where I got more than enough work really as a VA, and did have another VA who was working with me as well. So nice. The transition was quite nice in that I was able to take those clients, majority of those clients. So at the time I took 2 of those clients with me over to OBM with the explanation of, actually, I can help you a lot more. I can provide you a lot more assistance. And actually, I'm doing a lot of this for you, but I can get a bit more deep in the nitty gritty of everything for you and in a bit more depth of things. And then we can have my VA do kind of all the tasks and stuff that come out of that. So I was lucky enough to take 2 with me at a slightly reduced rate. And then I was lucky enough that the majority of my VA clients were able to stay with me, but with a VA rate with the VA I was working with. Mm-hmm. So that meant that I didn't actually lose any clients at the time, but that those ones that then didn't feel aligned with me, I was able to transition out of them myself with my choice, mm-hmm. really. Mm-hmm. Which is never an easy thing to transition out of a client. There comes a point where you have to make that decision as to whether or not they're aligned with you still and where you are as well. And that's, I think, the majority of dealing with that is making sure that you have someone good coming in place to be able to take over from you. Yeah. So that kind of makes that easier.
Yeah, like in an ideal scenario. So you talk about reducing your rate as an OBM. What does that mean?
For those clients that I'd already been working with, obviously the rate that I was working with them as a VA was way less than half of what I considered to be worth as OBM. Okay. Because I felt that the different level that you're working at, you're not working at kind of a task-based level, you're working at a level where you're going in and you're building strategy with the client, you're basically kind of their right-hand man or lady or person, so to speak. And so the kind of the level of work that you're working at is very different to just being able to say, okay, deal with this document or set this up. For me, those clients that I already had a lot of knowledge around them. So I didn't feel quite comfortable at the time. And it was such a big jump.
Right. Because you basically doubled your rate. So if your rate was $25, now it was $50. Or if it was $30, now it's $60.
Yeah.
So that is a big jump. So you didn't go right up to the double. You gave them just a little bit of a reduced to kind of ease that transition. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But then new OBM clients that I brought on, then they came in straight at the rate. And actually, the first time I did that discovery call and
I think, were we working together at that time?
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I did that discovery call and actually said the numbers, and because I hadn't been working at that number before, I said the numbers, which is that's the brave part to go in at and say those numbers, and they were just like, yeah, okay, let's go ahead.
Where do I sign up?
And I got off the call.
I've been freaking out about this.
Yeah. So I think we definitely downplay our own worth of things, and actually, if we're able to show clients kind of our full value, then we become invaluable really to them.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you went from doubling your rates. So let's continue the story because, I think OBM School is, and our programs and the accreditation specifically that you were in is wonderful. But for a lot of us, it's another starting point, right? So going from VA, transitioning to online business manager and offering online business management services. But for a lot of us OBMs that come from experience like yourself, Sam, where you have tons of leadership, tons of transferable skills, you have quite a bit of client experience, not only because you have been just, I would say, confident in offering services, but also building your own team. And for those of us here listening who maybe are considering team growth as an option, like is definitely not for the faint of heart, but I think it definitely expedites your experience and how many clients you can work with. So it scales that experience dial. And so as you continue your journey, tell us what that next step looks like.
So I think bringing on an additional VA, I think the real step there is being able to take that time to train them in what you need them to be able to do. And I think often we just expect that people will just be able to do it. And so knowing that someone else can take on the things that I've been doing, it's just making sure that they've got all the knowledge and information they need, because otherwise they just keep coming back and saying, well, what about this and what about this? So actually having our own process inside our own businesses and walking the walk of what we talk our clients about doing is really, really important kind of before you make that step. And for me, it meant that I was also able to open myself up a little bit, so that now I take time every day in my daily life, my working life, to take some time to build on my business.
Mm-hmm. So what does that look like?
So it's really, really interesting, because it's kind of a mirror of what I do with my clients anyway. So it's kind of weird, because you have to sit and take stock and think, okay, well, I do all these things with my clients, so I just need to do these for myself as well. Because I found at first, and particularly with the VA side of things, doing lots of things and moving other people on, but not moving myself on, I kind of felt like I'd built myself a job rather than a business. How that kind of ends up being. So just taking that time. So sometimes it's, half an hour a day if I can find half an hour a day, and other times. So I like to try and take out Wednesday afternoons, hit a coffee shop. We've got a lovely independent coffee shop, and they keep me a little corner, where I can go and just take some time, take some time to think about those things and process my own business and how that's going. So kind of I've evolved in terms of the fact that I've been working a lot over the time that I've been working as an OBM and a VA. Actually, I just kind of naturally dropped into businesses that had courses or had digital products. And I think a lot of that was kind of people hearing my education background and
kind of naturally
kind of using that. So I tended to drop into those kind of businesses naturally. And I felt like there was this kind of difference between kind of digital and online training and learning to kind of the training that I'd been through. So I actually progressed, and I did a professional diploma in digital learning design.
Nice.
And so that's an additional service that I offer now. So I do offer that for clients either on an ad hoc basis, or that just naturally becomes part of what I do as an OBM.
I think that is so amazing, because a lot of the times when we're starting businesses, it's very hard to see, well, where are we going? And we want to always know the end result. And I'm like, guys, enjoy the process. Like, this is what entrepreneurship is about. But Sam, you've been it's been so amazing to watch you develop as an OBM and really, specialize in this, I guess you would call it instructional design, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And like really kind of digging in and being able to, have that OBM retainer and all of the benefits that come with that, but also having this leg up and this sort of angle of, I would say, attack, where, you're appealing to those specific clients that have courses and memberships, but with regard to like instructional design. And I think that's a lovely, amazing, important point to make, that we are all constantly evolving as entrepreneurs. Now, that's, I think, a really nice segue. I would love to hear what your day in the life looks like. I mean, that like Wednesday afternoon in the coffee shop with your own little corner. I'm like, I need that. So I love that you've dedicated time to like working on your business and not always in your business, because it is very easy to kind of waffle between, is this the job? Am I in charge? Who's in charge here? So why don't you tell us what it looks like, what your roster looks like how many clients you have now, what a day in the life of Sam looks like, and also like where maybe the VA folds into things. I think that would be really, really wonderful for us to kind of get a glimpse into your behind the scenes day in the life.
Kind of talking about clients first. So I have two main retainer clients at the moment. One that I do slightly more hours with, and they have like a VA add-on as well. So they're with me for the OBM, but then we use my VA also to do kind of task-based work around what we've kind of discussed during strategy. And then I have another retainer client for OBM services that I also do pure OBM, and then she has a team
Oh,
of her
yeah,
own
great.
that I manage. So we've
Nice.
built that team, and that team is global, which is
Wow.
lovely as well. So all over the place. My day kind of tends to look kind of a bit ad hoc. So on top of the 2 OBM clients, I also have kind of ad hoc digital learning clients that I work with as well. And I have one larger client a charity that I've been working with kind of over the last 12 months or so, building out a lot of their program. So their program is kind of in their heads. We've been building that out into course material so that they can provide the service kind of on an evergreen basis, so that it's getting all that knowledge out from a service-based business, consultancy business, to kind of being able to offer that so that they can scale. So over the last year or so, we've built out nearly 20 different courses and service guides across that. So yeah, it's been a big undertaking, that one as well. So, and there's more still to come, which is exciting as well.
Yeah.
So my day kind of looks like not an early one. I'm definitely not an early riser, and actually working with clients in other time zones is really nice for that, because it means that kind of, some people perhaps might not like kind of the ad hocness of it, but I quite like being able to kind of book those meetings in and then do things around those meetings. So for me, I might get up and have breakfast and check over my emails, check the project management systems that I have in place with all the clients to just ensure that everyone's updated all the tasks they were supposed to be doing, because obviously some team members would be working overnight on those, and kind of troubleshoot anything that's come in, chase anything that's missing. And then I might dip in to do something for kind of one of my digital learning courses or something like that for a couple of hours. I tend to block my time, so that works well, and I still time track everything. I don't give all my clients those details, but it just helps me just to keep a track of where I'm spending my time, and also kind of to flag up if there's anything that's kind of unusual happening in that, where there's kind of like, if you're having regular meetings with a particular team member or something, then obviously there's something you need to flag up. So that time tracking is for my benefit. And then, as I say, I'll perhaps do a few more emails. I'll perhaps set up some marketing funnels in the afternoon. I might be doing some training with a new freelancer that's come on board. I try to encourage all the SAPs to also have a video element to them, because some people struggle with pure written SAPs. So I try and get my clients to take on written SAPs, but put the video side of things with them as well.
Smart.
Yeah. So I might kind of spend some time running through something that I'm doing at the moment that I'm going to kind of pass off to someone else, and put the documentation together for that. Then I might jump on a call and we might do a bit of strategy in the afternoon. And then to finish the session, I might have a discovery call with either a new client or a potential new client, or someone who's part of my community that I've built. I offer everyone that joins the community kind of a video call just to chat about what they do, just to learn about people and kind of build a bit of connection. Because online business, you can feel disconnected at times. So
for better or for worse.
Yeah, definitely for better or worse. Yeah. So yeah, I might try and finish my day with a bit of networking.
Nice.
And drop in some coffee in between if I get the chance.
I honestly, Sam, I'm like, that sounds like the best day to me. I'm like, I love that day. That day sounds really similar to my day. The important thing that our listeners should know is that no 2 days are the same in OBM land. You can block your time. You can try as hard as you want, but that's the level, right? We're leaders. We are accountable and responsible for things, and projects change. Things happen to team. And so we always have to be sort of light on our toes, and dare I say, be able to pivot. I don't really like the word pivot because I feel like it's gaining a negative connotation these days, but just being able to be light on our feet. So thank you, Sam, for sharing so explicitly the day in your life, because I think it really helps others to imagine, oh, okay, so I'm doing some client work, I have some discovery calls, I'm doing some networking, I'm creating SOPs, I'm getting on strategy calls. It's a beautiful thing, really, when you have a solid OBM clients. Now, I would love, because I think it's so I love this about your business. And it was, obviously, I wanted to interview you because I love talking to our students, but I think it's really important to remind our community that you can do whatever you want. You can, really evolve and grow as an OBM, as an entrepreneur. I know that my journey continued after I became an OBM and started to create courses and started to grow a community. And I love, Sam, that you are doing the same thing because it's so important to have something for ourselves. So, can you please share the amazing impact that you are making in this world?
Yeah. So, when you say about community, so about 3 months after I started up as a VA, it was very clear to me that I needed to kind of network with the right kind of people, the kind of people that I wanted to be working with. And I was very clear that I wanted to be working with people that were making an impact, people that were kind of having a change in creating change in the world. So kind of social enterprises and businesses that felt like they needed to give back as well. And so I set up a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group called Vegan Business Networking. Basically just started inviting people. And within 2 weeks, I had 50 businesses within my groups.
Wow.
And then a few months later, I had 100 businesses in my group. And now we're 4 years on and we have between the two groups, there is some kind of overlap between them, but between the two groups, roughly 8,500 businesses.
Yeah, 8,500 people in your community. What is the community called?
It's called Vegan Business Networking.
It's Vegan Business Networking, guys.
Yeah, come along, join. And it's just been great because part of my personal life, I'd been doing a bit of kind of talking to people about veganism and things in the background. And I was very key that people actually, in order to make change, we have to have businesses that want to make change as well. So not just in the vegan world, but in the sustainable world, in environmental impact and everything as well. In order for us as consumers to make change, we have to have those businesses that provide those things for us. So yes. I was really key that I wanted to support and help those businesses. And so that network I've run completely free with VA support over the last 4 years and been very lucky in that I've been able to network a lot in that group and meet lots of people and go to lots of events, and been very lucky in that I've been able to kind of fill my client rota.
Fill your cup
through those groups. So and as I say, being able to find those people that I align of align with.
I mean, that's where it's like, hey, like, wake up, guys. You can create your own community and attract. I think you've done it so wonderfully, Sam. You've taken on the veganism, which is near and dear to your why, near and dear to your heart. You have fostered a community of like-minded clients. And, I know I get really cheesy when it comes to your why. And I'm going to get on my soapbox. Sorry, guys. But I think it's just so important that we align our why with the clients that we choose and that they have similar whys. And then when my why is aligned with your why, like if it's a veganism thing, if it's a sustainability thing, if it's for me, for many years, it was like, it still is. I'm a mom and my kids come first. But when the kids were really little, it was even more so. I was like, I've got all these little kids under this age and they're all sick all the time. And so I think it's so important to really have a clear why, and that will help us to find the places not only where we look for clients, but possibly, like in your case, the community that you've been able to build. And, I think it's so magical, and you're such a smart marketer for, maybe even doing this, I would imagine, maybe unconsciously, but you've created this like little nice, not even little, quite a large group of individuals who are all potential clients. So you can just kind of dip in when you need things. And like you mentioned, having those calls with new members that join your group and seeing where they're at and if they're a good fit for the kinds of services that you offer. I just think it's like it's a beautiful funnel. Well done on that, Sam. I think it's just an inspiration to our listeners on, where you can really go and all the things that you can really achieve. And I think the imagination that comes with being an entrepreneur and being able to dream big.
It's really interesting as well because it's led me to be known as a community creator. And so clients that I've had have come to me because they've seen that the community's built up, and then they want to build their membership communities. And so they've come to us because obviously we have that experience of building that community and that in a particular niche. And so that's also kind of been part of what we've been driven and known for, is to be able to help people with kind of building those communities and the kinds of things to post in there and to share, and kind of how to get people engaged. So that's been really nice as well. So to be able to kind of pass on that knowledge as well.
Yeah, that's huge. And, I think it's so important because it always makes me think again of this, especially I always talk about the transition from VA to OBM, but it can really be any kind of online support professional. When you are an online business manager, your business becomes your portfolio, and the way you do business becomes your portfolio. So the automations, the way your storefront, AKA your website looks, who you're speaking to, in your case, the community growth, and likely featuring a lot of, testimonials around the instructional design stuff. I would say that it really highlights this evolution of entrepreneurship that you have been on in such a beautiful way, and that I will continue to watch from the sideline as you grow and evolve in your entrepreneurial shoes. I think it's so amazing to see your journey, how you have evolved, and, the kinds of things that you would have said to your younger self, and transitioning from VA to OBM and I guess onwards. What would you say to somebody now who is like considering online business management, and they're like, I've got these transferable skills. I know I've got the leadership. I am a researcher to the core. I know I can learn these new skills. What would you say? And honestly, I feel like it's almost like, what would you say to that person that had maybe just had found out that their teaching position was not happening, and they're like, oh my God, now what? What would you say to that person?
I think for me, I would tell that person that firstly, you can do it, and having people around who either have done it before or are doing that along with you is a really great way to move forward. I think when you're on your own, sat there trying to work out how you do all of the things that you need to do, you just need someone to help you and give you that first step. Mm-hmm. And I think definitely take it step by step. And as you've said, evolve. You don't have to be at the last position, right now. You have to just take that first step and gradually just move forward. And the problem is, if you don't take that first step, firstly, you don't know where you could end up. You could end up, in a great position where you are now building out your own business and trying to scale up, or you could not take that step and just end up nowhere. So I think that first step, you can build on that. Just do it. Just move forward.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
The first step.
Take the first step. But definitely having community and people around you, and the accountability buddies that I met in the OBM accreditation, they were a great source of back patting and support, and you can do it, even to the point where when we did our accreditation, we were moving through each of the parts, and we got to the point where we were all so close, but we all had these bits that were missing, and we were like, okay, we're going to get this done by Thursday at 2:00, and we were just all there together submitting at the same time, because we just drove each other together. So again, don't underestimate the power of having other people around you that have either done it before or that are going through it, to be able to support you. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep at it. 100%. Now, I know, Sam, that there's definitely people who want to learn more about you and your services. Tell us more about your business and what initiatives you have on the horizon, what you're working on.
As I say, my business is Chaos into Calm, and we provide the OBM services and professional digital learning design services. And also, because we've been working with so many businesses that are that bit smaller as well, and perhaps don't yet have the finances or the requirements that they might need for an OBM, we've been putting together a lot of the resources and support items that you might need to get you to a point where you're ready to scale your business.
Nice.
And we're putting them into a platform called Changemaker HQ, which you can find via our Chaos into Calm website. And yeah, on there you'll be able to find lots of resources around kind of building your social media platforms, building communities, resources, email templates, just a wealth of kind of our last however many years of knowledge. We're kind of putting all of that together for people. So do go and have a look. And if you do happen to have a vegan business or sustainable business, please do come and have a look at Vegan Business Networking on Facebook or LinkedIn. And I'm sure we can kind of share those links.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I love that. Thank you, Sam, for sharing a glimpse into your day in the life of an OBM. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and onwards and upwards we go. And thank you guys for listening. And we're going to make sure all of those resources are in the show notes, in the description of this YouTube video. And until next time, take care, everyone.